Right, so we are continuing our look into different kinds of pronouns, which also sometimes includes adjectives because there are some adjectives that look like pronouns, and we need to make sure that we don't think something is a pronoun and then it is actually an adjective. So we've looked at personal pronouns, which included object, subject, and all those different kinds of pronouns. So today we're going to focus on demonstratives. We are going to focus on indefinites and interrogatives. But let's review what we did last time first. Okay. So of course, we've done this before. A pronoun takes the place of a noun, right? That is our rule. A pronoun takes the place of a noun. It replaces it. So here we have the teacher. Teacher is happy today. He is happy today. The teacher gets replaced by he. Okay. And we've talked about the different kinds of pronouns. So let's just review. I'm going to go through each of these questions. There's the 5 ones you need to choose between of the ones we've already learned. Subject pronouns, object pronouns, possessive adjectives, possessive pronouns, and possessive and reflexive pronouns. So pause the video if you want to think longer about one of these questions. Okay? Because otherwise I'm just going to say the answer immediately before you have a chance to think. When I was a young boy, my mom told me that I needed to believe in myself and I shouldn't listen to what they say. So what is I there? It is a subject pronoun, of course. I is doing the action. What is my in this sentence? Pause if you want to think longer. It's a possessive adjective, of course. Here we have me. They told me. Pause if you want to think longer. That is an object pronoun, right? Because the action is being done to it. They told me. Okay, me is not telling the action. Mom is the subject here, but who is she telling? She's telling me. Me is the object pronoun. I, that should be easy. Pause if you want to think longer. That's another subject pronoun. I is always a subject pronoun, and I is doing the action of needed. Myself, pause if you want to think, is a reflexive pronoun, right? Reflexive pronoun. They say, is a subject pronoun, of course. They is doing the action of say and is replacing a group of people. Your pencil is much better than mine. Pause if you want to think. That, of course, is a possessive adjective because your is showing possession, but it is describing the pencil. Your pencil is much better than mine. Pause if you want to think. That is, of course, a possessive pronoun. It shows possession, but it is on its own. I, what is I hate my pencil? The subject pronoun, as I've said before, I is always the subject pronoun. My pencil. Pause if you want to think. It's a possessive adjective because my is describing the pencil, so it is an adjective, but it is showing possession, so possessive adjective, not a pronoun there. It, be careful with it. It can be multiple things, but look at it in the sentence. I want to destroy it myself. It's an object pronoun because the action is being done to it, right? It is not doing the destroying. I is doing the destroying, but it is being destroyed, so it's an object pronoun. Myself, once again, you should know what this is by now. Pause if you want to think. It's a reflexive pronoun and always will be. We have another it. What is it this time? It's a subject pronoun because this time it is doing the action, and therefore it is the subject pronoun. So our new one today, demonstrative pronouns. This, that, these, those. Memorize them. There are only four. It will always be these four. Demonstrative as in you're pointing, you're showing, demonstrate, right? And here they are, and you can see, you know this, right? If it's this, it's because it's close, right? And it's one of them. If it's that, it's because it's not close, but there's also only one of them. If it's these, it's close, but it's more than one. And those is not close, but there's more than one. How do you use them? This is the best day ever, right? Again, it's a pronoun. What's the job of a pronoun? It's to replace the noun. I like those. You'll see here in this case, this is a subject. In this case, it is an object. Okay, this is the best day ever. I like those. Okay, when I look at these, they make me happy. These pronouns can be object or subject of the sentence, right? But it's easy. Both of you just say that's a demonstrative pronoun, that's a demonstrative pronoun, that's a demonstrative pronoun. All of these, all three of them are demonstrative pronouns. Doesn't matter if they are the object or the subject of the sentence. Now, unfortunately, it gets a little harder. The same four words can also be demonstrative adjectives. Now, it's very similar to when we did possessives. So they fulfill the same purpose as the demonstrative pronouns, except they are describing a noun. So instead of saying this is a great day, we say this day, these chickens. So they can't be pronouns because they're not replacing a noun. They are describing a noun, right? So they are describing a noun, therefore they are demonstrative adjectives, right? Okay. Here's a few examples. I'm not going to go through all of them, but if you want to pause and think for yourself, I'm going to go through them pretty fast, but feel free to pause so you can think for yourself what the answer is, and then I will say the answer. All right. First sentence, these people make me so angry. What is that? That's a demonstrative adjective, right? Because these is describing the people. Okay, next one. Number two, pause if you want to think. This is the reason why I don't like sports. That's a demonstrative pronoun. It's on its own. It's not describing a noun. So it's a demonstrative pronoun. Number three, pause if you want to think. Those airplanes are going to crash. That's a demonstrative adjective. Here is the noun that it is describing. Those airplanes. Right, that's why it's a demonstrative adjective and not a pronoun. Number four, I can't make this as easily as you think. That's a pronoun. It's on its own, right? Number five, follow that man. Pause if you want to think. And that's an adjective because it is describing the noun man. Demonstrative adjective. But all of these are demonstratives. You just need to decide if it is a demonstrative pronoun or a demonstrative adjective. Right, just be careful there. I'm not going to go through the rest. We can go now to the next slide. Right, now that we've done demonstratives that are quite easy, we get to probably one of the most difficult kind of pronouns, and that's indefinite pronouns. Now, the problem with indefinite pronouns, as you can see, is that there are a lot of them. There's only 4 demonstrative pronouns, but there's a bunch of indefinite pronouns, and this isn't even all of them. There can be a lot of them, and they work a little differently, but they all fall in the indefinite pronoun group, and they're kind of hard to define. Basically, indefinite, if you look at the word indefinite, it's divided. In means not, and definite means sure. So you're not sure exactly 100% what you're talking about when you use an indefinite pronoun. So a normal pronoun replaces something specific. He replaces the name of a person, right? Johnny kicks the ball, he kicks the ball. These are unsure. They're indefinite. They're not 100% sure. So then you use one of these. Okay. So it says these pronouns are vague, not specific. They do not refer to a gender or person with a name or something the reader knows. So if you look at things, something like all, that could be anything. It could be things, it could be people, it could be anything, right? It doesn't have a gender. We don't know if it's a person, an animal, anything. Same with both here. I don't know what both means. Both could be both foods, both planets, both doctors, could be anything. Look at this one. Everything. I don't know what those things are, so it's all vague, right? Even, and a lot of them will have like any. I don't know what that is. Anybody. Now that one I know is a person, but I still don't know what gender it is, right? Anything. I don't know what that could mean. Much. Now, let's look at these. Much, one, more. Now these tell you the amount of something, but they don't give you a specific amount. Except for one here, does give you a specific amount, but you don't know one what. I have one. What does that mean? One chicken? One car? One planet? Right? You don't know, right? So, and much, we don't know how much that is. More. I have more. More of what? Many. I don't say 5 or 6 or 500. Those are specific numbers of something. But these ones, few, right? That can be anything from like 2 to 7, right? You don't know, right? Some, none, right? Even that one, you know exactly it's 0, but none of what? Okay. Neither. Okay. Something. These are all indefinite pronouns. Okay. So they're used like this. I would give anything to have that phone. You're not really sure what that anything is, but you know what you mean there. But it's not replacing something specific, but it is still replacing something, right? So that's an indefinite pronoun. Okay, there's no one. Something must be done to save the earth, right? You got to make a plan because you don't know what that plan is. You don't know what that solution is, so it's something, right? So that's an indefinite pronoun. Okay. Everyone knows that the world is round. Like that, everyone. You don't know everyone. Like you don't know how many people that is. You're not specifying gender. You're not specifying names. It's just everyone. You didn't write every person's name in the world and then replace it with everyone. No, you don't know every person in the world. That's why it's indefinite. Okay, right. Okay. So, um, yeah, often indefinite pronouns refer to an amount that we are not sure of. So, how many pizza slices did you eat? I ate many. Now, that many could be 5, it could be 20, it could be 500, right? You don't know exactly. It's not specific. And even if you don't have this sentence at the beginning, if you just say many, I don't know, many of what? Many people, many things? It's only because you see this sentence here that it replaced the pizza slices that you know it refers to pizza slices. But many could be people, it could be animals, it could be dogs, it could be anything, right? The drink was really good. Give me another, right? Now I know that's just one, but another could be anything. If you don't see that it replaces drink, then it could be food. It could be anything. Another is an indefinite pronoun there. Okay. Problem is, we also have indefinite adjectives. Now they're the exact same words, except they describe a noun. They're next to a noun. So many slices. But again, it's still indefinite. It's still vague. It's still unsure. I don't know exactly how many is. 20 slices, 50 slices? We don't know how much that many is, right? So the many describes the slices. The slices is the noun, and therefore many is an adjective, an indefinite adjective. So if many is used on its own, then it is an indefinite pronoun. If it is used to describe a noun, it's an indefinite adjective. Okay. There's some of them that will always be indefinite adjectives, something like every, right? Every person must find their own path in life. That will always be an indefinite adjective. I can't say I have every. It just doesn't work, right? It's the same with indefinite pronouns. Like something like everyone can never be an adjective. I can't say everyone chicken, right? It just doesn't work. So that one will always be an indefinite pronoun. Okay. Right, so let's just compare the two. If I say each animal will need to survive in the wild, each here is a noun, each describes the animal, okay? And it then is an indefinite adjective, right? But if I have each will get 5 Smarties, that's a noun, so it's a pronoun, indefinite, but I don't know each person, each mammal, each planet, we don't know, each star. It's still vague, right? But it is not, it's on its own there. It is describing nothing. It's on its own, whereas this is one concept, each animal, that each describes the animal. That's why it's an indefinite adjective. But down here, each is on its own, so it's an indefinite pronoun. Right, so here's a bunch we can look at. So these are all indefinites, but some of them are indefinite adjectives and some of them are indefinite pronouns. I'm not going to go through all of them, but let's see. So the first one, and if you want more time to think, please use the pause button to pause, think, and then you can see, because I'm going to say the answer immediately. So if you want time to think, please pause the video. Right. Number one, everyone needs to have an ID, otherwise they cannot enter. That's an indefinite pronoun. It will always be an indefinite pronoun. Everyone cannot be an adjective. Number two, there's very little I can do about that problem. That's a pronoun, right? It's on its own, very little. Number three, anyone can put a cape on and be a superhero. That's definitely an indefinite pronoun as well. Anyone will always be an indefinite pronoun. Four, both men died in the fight. Indefinite adjective. Men is a noun that is being described by both. So therefore, it has to be an indefinite adjective. Number five, several will come and several will fail. Indefinite pronoun on its own, several. Number six, all cats have 9 lives. Indefinite adjective. Cats is our noun, all is describing the cats. But I don't know exactly how many all is, I don't know what the all is necessarily. It says cats, but on its own it would be indefinite. Number seven, most students will pass this test. Indefinite adjective, most is describing the students, but most is indefinite because it doesn't really tell me exactly how many. Most can be any number. I don't know how much most is. Okay, so I'm going to stop there and I will go to the next slide. Right, so that brings us to our last kind of pronoun. And we've done a bunch. This one is a doozy. It's quite hard. But luckily, it has a limit on how many there are, not like indefinite pronouns where there's just so many of them. Let's look at what we have. It says this kind of pronoun replaces a noun and then creates a question. That's important. So if we look at this, John kicked the ball. Who kicked the ball? Who replaces the answer John? And that's why it's a pronoun. John kicked the ball. What did John kick? What replaces the ball? And the ball is a noun. And John that's a noun. And that's a noun. So clearly it replaces these nouns. John kicked Sarah. Whom did John kick? Now you might want to be like, teacher, why do I say whom? Technically this is grammatically correct. A lot of you will just say who did John kick, but the correct grammar is whom. The reason why who is used up here is because John is the subject. And if I replace the subject, it becomes who. Sarah is the object, and that's why it is replaced by whom. Okay, but these are interrogative pronouns. It doesn't have to be a question though, right? So what we are doing in class today will be very hard, but just be careful. Sometimes these can be conjunctions as well, but you'll notice that. Okay, right. Okay, let's continue with interrogative pronouns. There are 5 of them. Who, right? Who replaces who is coming to dinner? Whom did you meet last night? Whose is this? Which did you choose? What did you buy yesterday? Who, whom, whose, which, and what. These are your only 5 interrogative pronouns. And you can memorize them. The only problem is that they're not always going to be pronouns, but we'll get to that, right? Please notice that all these pronouns stand on their own and they replace a noun, right? Who replaces the girlfriend? Whoa, my mouse is doing things. All right. Who replaces my girlfriend? Okay. What replaces the iPhone? Okay. Right? So these are all nouns that are being replaced by the interrogative pronoun. And you can kind of remember them by the WH, right? Okay. That's interrogative pronouns. That brings us to interrogative adjectives. Yes, I know that's tricky. So look at this. Whose, if it is describing a noun, it is an interrogative adjective and not an interrogative pronoun. If whose is on its own, if I say whose is this, then it's a pronoun. But if I say whose pencil is this, it's not replacing the noun, it's describing the noun, and then it is an adjective. Which one did you choose? Right, which describes the one, and therefore it is a interrogative adjective. But if I have it on its own, which did you choose? Then it's a pronoun. Okay. What phone did you buy yesterday? What describes the phone? So you have to be careful. All 3 of these can be adjectives or pronouns in the interrogative group, right? Because if it's on its own, then it's interrogative pronouns. If it's describing a noun, it's an interrogative adjective. So just be careful of those 3. Okay, right. Luckily, who and whom will always be pronouns because they replace people and they can't really describe things. Okay, they can't. So these will always be interrogative pronouns, who and whom. Okay, right. That brings us to this one, interrogative adverbs. So we have more WH questions. Okay, so if a WH word describes an action, then it becomes an adverb, because that's what an adverb does. It describes an action, right? So if I say I went to the mall is describing where you went, and this is an action. So this here is being replaced by the where, which will always be an interrogative adverb, right? Same here. I drove very fast. That's a verb. Drove very fast is an adverb, right? That describes drove. So then how becomes an interrogative adverb. How will always be an interrogative adverb. And it says, I arrived at 10 p.m. Arrived is an action. 10 p.m. describes when you arrived, and it replaces with when, which will be an interrogative adverb, right? Because it replaces those descriptions of the actions, okay? Even why, okay, because the reason is related to this action. Why did you drive so fast? Okay, and the reason is replaced by why, which will then be an interrogative adverb. And you can memorize these four: where, how, when, and why will be your interrogative adverbs. Okay, so you can see here how it works, right? Where replaces to the mall, which describes went. How replaces very fast, which describes drive. When replaces 10 p.m., which describes arrive. And why replaces the reason that is related to the driving. So these are verbs, right? Drive, went, arrive, driving. So the adverb, so it's replacing something that describes a verb, and therefore it is an adverb, these guys. They are interrogative adverbs. Right. So we're just going to do a few of these. So you have to tell me, is this WH word an interrogative pronoun, interrogative adverb, or an interrogative adjective? And I'll just do a few of them. Who loves to run to school? If you want to pause to think longer, you can. That is an interrogative pronoun because who replaces a name, and that is a noun. If it replaces a noun, then it is a pronoun. And who will always be an interrogative pronoun. It cannot be an interrogative adjective. It cannot be an interrogative adverb. Number two, where have you never been? That will be an adverb. Where will always be an adverb, right? Because a place you go is describing the action of where you went. Okay? When did you get there? Number three. That's an adverb again, right? Because when is describing the time that you get there. Whose car are we talking? This is number four. This is an important one. That is an interrogative adjective because whose is describing the car, which is a noun. So it's not replacing a noun, it's describing a noun. So it cannot be a pronoun, right? And it's not describing a verb, it's not describing the talking, it's describing the car. Okay, number five. Which hotel are we staying in? Again, that's an interrogative adjective because which is describing the hotel, which is a noun, right? That's a noun. Okay. Why did you do that? Number six, sorry. That's an adverb. Why will always be an adverb. It's describing the reason. It's replacing the reason that is describing the action. Okay. Number seven. Please pause if you want to think. What time will he arrive? Adjective. Time is the noun here, and what is describing the noun there. Okay. Right. Number eight is a pronoun. What, when it's on its own, is a pronoun. Did is an action. It's not a noun, so it's not describing a noun, and it is replacing the thing that was said, which is a noun. Okay, right. Okay, I'm going to stop there and go to the next slide. Okay, So let's review this with a few examples. So we have here demonstrative pronoun, demonstrative adjective, indefinite pronoun, indefinite adjective, interrogative pronoun, interrogative adjective, and interrogative adverb. And that's a little tricky, right? But please remember that these two, the demonstratives, will always be those four words, right? This, these, that, those. Okay, simple. Your interrogatives, all three of them, must be the, oh, my mouse is lagging, okay, must be the WHs, right? Okay, they must be the what, who, when, where, why, how, all those. The indefinite ones are the tricky ones because you can't really memorize those. There's too many. You can memorize them, but there's a lot, right? There's like more than 50 of these. So those ones that are tricky. Okay, so all you have to do if you see this, that, these, those, then you just need to decide, is it a pronoun or is it an adjective, right? When you see your WH words, your what, who, when, why, where, how, which, whose, right? Just decide pronoun, adjective, or adverb. So here we have that, which is one of these ones, right? It's got to be one of these two. And it's on its own. There's no noun that it's describing. So what is it? Demonstrative pronoun. Okay, does that make sense? Right, let's go to the next one. Please pause if you want to think longer. That is mine, this is yours. That's a demonstrative pronoun. It's one of the four, and it's, excuse me, it's not describing it's not describing an adjective, a noun, so it cannot be an adjective. Anyone could take it. What is this one? That's an indefinite pronoun. It's not describing a noun, and it is vague. It is unclear. Anyone can be. That doesn't have a gender. It doesn't have a name attached to it. I don't know if it is a young person, old person. What is it? I have no idea. So it is an indefinite pronoun. How would you feel then? That's an interrogative adverb. How is replacing an adverb that describes the feeling, right? So that is how will always be an interrogative adverb. That person over there. So we know that that is one of these two, right? Okay, it's got to be one of our demonstratives. But which one is it? It's a demonstrative adjective because it's describing the noun of person, right? It's describing this noun. So it has to be a demonstrative adjective. What is his name again? That's an interrogative pronoun because what is standing on its own? It replaces a name. It's not describing an adjective. And if it's not describing a noun, it's replacing a noun. It's replacing the name. What is his name? Jerry is his name. Jerry is a noun. It replaces a name. So therefore it is an interrogative pronoun. What person? That's quite easy. That's an interrogative adjective because the person is a noun and what describes that noun, and therefore it is an interrogative adjective. I don't see anybody. Indefinite pronoun, right? Anybody, no gender, no name. It's vague, it's unclear, it's unsure, but it's not describing a noun, so it's an indefinite pronoun. Each boy in this room must run around that field. Each, let's see, that's an indefinite adjective. It describes the noun boy, but it is still indefinite. I don't know, each can be each anything, right? Okay. This room, that's a demonstrative adjective because it's one of the four, this, these, that, those, so it must be a demonstrative, but it is describing the noun room, and therefore it is a demonstrative adjective. That field, same deal, demonstrative adjective. That is describing the field, so that's a demonstrative adjective. When must we do it? That's an interrogative adverb. When is replacing a time that is related to the action. So it's replacing an adverb, so it is an interrogative adverb. All right, so here is basically, you can review everything here. I will put this page in the files on Teams. Pronouns cheat sheet, right? It's got all the different ones here, and it even has for the adjectives, it's got a noun there describing. The yellow ones are pronouns. The pink ones here with the highlighted in blue, those are your adjectives that look like pronouns, but they are actually adjectives. And then here are your interrogative adverbs, which you can memorize, the 4 of them. I know this is a lot, but yeah, hopefully this video will help you. All right.